Welcome to my channel, Truth in Motion Studios. My name is Christina Zikowski, and this is another lesson on leadership and how it pertains to our life. So there's this topic I wanted to discuss for a long time, but I didn't really come up with how I can frame it in a very concise way. It's a complex topic, but I want to say it all in as little time as possible. The topic is mindfulness. And from there, we branch it out a little bit wider and put it in the context of leadership and healthy spirituality. So mindfulness, you know that I'm not just in the teaching world, I also have a big, strong background in the fitness and wellness industry. So mindfulness was a word that kind of became buzz, a fad word that you heard all over. And then suddenly Christians came and said, mindfulness is bad. Mindfulness is Eastern religion, it's evil, stay away from mindfulness. Even when I was raised as a Baptist kid, my mom told me you cannot participate in any meditation sessions at school. So I was the kid that was not coloring any mandalas, or I wasn't sitting there still, trying to find peace or whatever. I was told when you do that, you open yourself up to all sorts of evil things. And so that's dangerous. So now that I've been through fundamentalism, that I've been through a lot of insanity, and I've deconstructed my faith, and I've also reconstructed my faith, I can share some more balanced thoughts with you on that topic of mindfulness. So first of all, mindfulness, let's define it as the awareness of what's happening inside of you in a moment. How do you feel? What is driving you? Are you, taken by any major emotions, anxiety? Are you afraid? Are you angry? Are you happy? Are you hopeful? All these things. What are you driven by inside? And that, especially in the context of changing nutrition, changing your lifestyle, is super helpful and actually quite necessary, because what do most people do that have some kind of a bad eating habit? They don't think about what they're doing. So they just, and they're nervous, they're anxious, and I know exactly what that's like. My thing is also biting fingernails. I have on and off seasons where I find myself biting my fingernails more or less. And so mindfulness is a tool. It's an invitation to arrive in the moment, to take an inventory of your inner world and just make a snapshot, take an awareness picture of, oh yeah, that's what's going on the inside right now. And so I'm trying to fix something. That's usually what leads us to the problems, such as overeating or nail biting, or it can drive us to all sorts of healthy or unhealthy behavior. But the important part is that I think empowerment means that you realize what's happening, and then you realize, ooh, I'm not on this set path. I have to, I feel anxious now, I have to bite my fingernails, or I feel anxious now, I have to eat all sorts of chocolate, or 1A means B. No, realizing, becoming mindful of what's going on means, oh, I have options. I can think about this. I can say, okay, I could do this, but I could also, try this or that, or do nothing, maybe just keep breathing or so. That's one important aspect of mindfulness. You may already be aware of where I'm headed. I think mindfulness is not evil. I think it is an invitation to arrive in the moment, and to already give you the end of it all, the conclusion. I think when God said to Moses, I am that I am, and and we say this in English, the original Hebrew is a much richer verb. This am, to be, is much bigger than our idea of am, of to be. So I think God is saying he is existence, and all we really can do is arrive in the moment and say, yes, surrender to that. So I think mindfulness is a very important tool to help us not just realize what's going on our inside and make us realize in the moment we have choices, but it also is a spiritual realization that in our big and in our small moments, God is always present, always. And it's us, we tune in and out. And I get a lot of peace out of intentionally tuning in. So that's that one part. So that was my first aspect about mindfulness. So why would someone say mindfulness is bad? The story that comes to mind is the story that actually I heard for the first time in The Subtle Power of Spiritual Abuse by David Johnson and Jeff Van Wanderen. You might have seen my interviews. And believe it or not, number 3 is still in the works. I'm in the background, still trying to get them to meet me one more time, which has gotten a bit more complicated because they don't, their lives are a bit different than they were when we had those interviews. So just stay tuned for those. But it's the story of the witch, the red shoes. What's that called again? The Wizard of Oz. It was a movie that I in Germany had never seen. And the story is this idea, this particular scene when they come close to the big wizard and all it takes is to pull the curtain away, and the big face says to them, don't pull back the curtain, do not do that, you know, boo. That to me is when someone says mindfulness is evil. It's like, do not pay close attention to what you really feel, because I don't want you to realize that I am actually BSing you here the whole time. I'm just kind of living off of you not realizing that you're being taken advantage of, that there's a lot of hypocrisy here that I don't want you to pick up on. So if someone says to you, all this tuning inward is evil, and that usually is some kind of a faith background, or within a faith context, people will tell you, do not do that. I would say that is a red flag, because we should pay really close attention to how we feel, and we should pay really close attention to what we perceive from other people. Now, just a side note, I don't think mindfulness is something that turns you necessarily into a navel gazer, so someone who only looks at their own belly button and is just very satisfied with that. No, but it's a starting place. And this is where I would like to bring in, I told you this is Leadership Lessons for Life, from this book that I have had in this one of the last grad courses that I took. And so one of the questions we were asked for our leader, what is the most important of these 4 emotional intelligence aspects? Is it self-awareness? Is it self-management? Is it social awareness, empathy? Or is it relationship management? And you can go into a lot of detail talking about this, but I told you I was hoping to find a way to just give you like a broad, while giving you still a lot to chew on. Well, all the students in this group, we all felt that at the core of it all is self-awareness. You know, you can be empathetical, sure, and many people are, and they lose themselves in the other person because they're not grounded in themselves. You can try to manage yourself, you know, like it's, let me bring up the fitness industry again in the background. It's, okay, I cannot eat chocolate. If I only eat 1,500 calories every day, I will be fine. I just have to manage myself, you know, discipline. So that works for a little bit, but it's very frustrating, and it doesn't up your life quality. It actually puts you into a new set of issues, into a problem where you're not free. So again, it comes back to self-awareness. Let's start at the root of it all, inside of our heart, inside of our brain. What's going on here? And I've mentioned this in a vlog a few years ago. This topic of self-awareness is something that we need to begin with children. It's as simple as when a child expresses any kind of feeling, like we know, like when boys cry, right? I remember hearing someone talking about their grandchild, and she's like 4 years old, and she takes him to the hair stylist, and he gets his haircut, and he's sitting there and he's crying, and she says to him, "You're crying, boys don't cry, you cry like a girl." And I heard that, and I just wanted to be like, here we go again, another toxic male is in the making. We need to allow each other to feel what we feel and not interrupt that, not distract us from, like, I just want to cheer you up, I don't like your tears, but you know, if a man cries, that makes me as a woman feel unstable. So no, that's codependency. So we have to allow even our little children to feel what they feel and help them understand themselves and accept themselves more, rather than telling them, no, that's not what you feel. Okay, you might feel that, but it's wrong that you feel that. That's so toxic and unhealthy. So self-awareness starts very, very little, and we have to allow the kids what we allow ourselves, which is to just be, just let us be, and help us deal with it in a healthy, hopefully helpful manner. And so again, in the context of spirituality or toxic spirituality, I have found that my leaders were very clear on, I want you to realize what you feel, but as you share what you feel, I also want you to accept that what you feel is sin. Like the feeling of shame, like, you know, you just shared something that was really makes you feel very vulnerable, and not just because if you feel vulnerable, it made you vulnerable, sharing like intimate information with people who are not trustworthy, and then to later find that information shared in a public venue, and then being also told, oh, now they're ashamed. So being called out for having a response to your secret being shared in a sermon in front of other people, and then being told you can't be afraid of like kill that shame, die to that shame. That is a recipe for driving people insane. And so I was on the receiving end of that, and other people in my group, and I know a lot of you have been through something like that as well. That is the recipe for driving someone insane, because it takes you out of being grounded in your reality. It's yeah, gaslighting, it's bypassing, it's all of that. It's just not allowing you to live in the reality, but it tells you how to feel. It tells you, it changes your values, you know, like your secrets should be safe with the person you entrusted them with, and then there's no justifying that. So it's a high level form of abuse, of torture in the name of God, in the name of making people holy, sanctifying them, to not let you stay where you're at. But then let's look at the leader. And you know me, if you listen to my channel, I don't believe in hierarchy. I think if we're all called to be, you know, children of God, then we're all on the same level. We're all on the same, you know, the level, the playing field is level. And so sure, there's people who have a few steps ahead of us in maturity and so forth, and that's fine. But without going deeper into what I envision the church to look like, I want to give you this to think about. In a leader, self-awareness is what many believe to be the most important trait, because let me give you the definition here of DAFT. Self-awareness is being conscious of the internal aspects of one's nature, such as personality traits, emotions, values, attitudes, and perceptions, and appreciating how your patterns affect other people. So I want to give you an example. My cult leaders were dealing in fear a lot. And in a way, it was something that I accepted very quickly because maybe of my upbringing, maybe you could draw that connection. But I just, for whatever reason, accepted that and shaped myself according so that I wouldn't get into trouble. At first, I gave a lot of pushback, but then I realized it's too painful to constantly get slapped, metaphorically speaking. And that one day, that one night, actually, when we were out in town, walking around, waiting for the Lord to make something happen so we could all feel justified for walking around town with these people, the leader asked us all to come close. And before he had asked us all to come and gather, he had actually taken the other leader aside, and they were like hunched over and they were talking a little bit. So he was saying to us, and it wasn't a lot, we were like 7 or 8 people, and mostly my age. So we were like young student age, maybe a little bit older and a little bit younger, somewhere there between late teens, so 18, 19, and top was maybe 30 something in between there. And they were saying that the Lord had just revealed to the leader that those two have been using fear to address us, and they want to repent of that. And here's what I said. I said, "Oh, I'm so glad you're finally realizing this." And you know what he said? "What? You there was a problem and you didn't tell us? You have to tell us that." And instantly I went back into my shell. So that main co-leader, to this day, he is still unchanged, maybe worse, not better, trying to build his kingdom. He had a second of self-awareness, and it lasted a second. I did not have a lot of self-awareness, because had I had more, I would have said, "Ooh, I'm feeling relief, and now I'm feeling fear again. Ooh, that it can't be right." So to be truthful to, my authentic experience, I would have to say, the way you just said this to me makes me afraid again. And I will push through that, because it sounds like you're interested in hearing how your patterns affect my reality. They make me afraid for my life, not just my physical, but my eternal life. But they didn't have empathy. They just couldn't make that up. They couldn't muster it up. They didn't even know that was necessary when dealing in such intimate settings and with such vulnerable people. So all that to say, self-awareness is the key trait of a mature person. And it is something that starts in the womb. I don't know. It starts as soon as there's any interactions with other people. We need to know how we feel on the inside. And I want to share one more anecdote and end on that one. So my son, when he's almost 7, when he was like around 3 years old, he would always tell me his dreams. And so this one time he said, that he dreamt of that he was with me at some beach, and there was a pirate ship that came, and then the pirate ship stopped, and we were on a boat, and we were going to the pirate ship. And then he looked at me and he's like, "And then what happened, Mama?" And I was like, "I don't know. It was your dream. I wasn't there in your dream." And it was one of those moments where I realized, whoa, for him, those dreams, when I'm with him in the dream, that's so real. And he thinks that I would remember it. And then he realized, oh my, that was a dream. And she wasn't actually there, and that none of it actually happened. And I feel like that is such an important anecdote, where you can draw all sorts of use it to get all sorts of points across. But in the context of self-awareness, this is so important. Our realities are different. We need to realize that how I perceive the world is different from how someone else does. And I think I might be saying something clear and kindly and gently, but someone else might hear something completely different, and whatever I thought was the important message gets lost in between. That's where empathy comes in, where we're saying, I'm not just a gong. I want to use love to interact with other people. Otherwise, you know, like Paul said, it's all pointless, it's worthless. Self-awareness is realizing we exist. There's a lot that drives us. We're incredibly complex creatures, and so is the other person. We all are. And that is why it is so powerful to tune in to yourself, and then to give other people the space to tune into themselves, so that when you do come together and you choose to dream together, you have a better chance of being on the same page, I guess. All right. I hope that was helpful to you. If you think so, feel free to subscribe or share the video, whatever you like to do. Have a great rest of your day.